The New York Mets are currently spending nearly $400 million to be aggressively mediocre, and yet Major League Baseball owners are looking at the Tampa Bay Rays' $87 million payroll and screaming, "We need a salary cap."
It is the ultimate billionaires complaining about millionaires situation. The entire league is in this bizarre upside-down universe right now, where the teams spending the most money are buying themselves premium tickets to the basement, while the teams finding players in the couch cushions are dominating.
We are 2 months into the 2026 season, and the American League is basically being run by the Tampa Bay Rays, the Cleveland Guardians, and the Oakland Athletics, the A's.
The A's. They are literally playing in a minor league ballpark, spending $95 million, and they are hanging right there at the top of the West. Meanwhile, you have the Mets over in the National League staring at a payroll pushing $400 million, and they spent May in last place.
It is the best comedy on television. If you want to know how to spend your way into bad baseball, just watch the Mets or the Astros. But this actual on-field chaos is setting the stage for the ugliest boardroom brawl we have seen in years. The collective bargaining agreement expires on December 1st of this year at 11:59 p.m.
And the clock is ticking loudly. The owners just slid a proposal across the table that is essentially a declaration of war against the players' union. They want a hard salary cap of $245.3 million and a salary floor of $171.2 million starting in 2027.
A hard cap. Major League Baseball is the only one of the 4 major North American sports leagues that has never had a hard salary cap. They just have the luxury tax, which the Dodgers basically treat as a polite suggestion.
The Dodgers are projecting an outlay of over $500 million this year. That is roughly the combined payroll of the 6 cheapest teams in the sport. So the owners are using that as an excuse to say, look, we need parity, we need a cap.
But the irony is so thick you could carve it with a bat. The owners are arguing they need a cap for competitive balance, but the standings right now prove that you do not need $500 million to win. The cheap teams are already winning.
The Rays and the Guardians are walking proof that smart roster building beats throwing cash at a problem. The Guardians just find guys other front offices throw away and win 87 games a year like it is nothing. But the players' union, led by Tony Clark, is not buying the competitive balance excuse for a second. Clark straight up called the cap proposal institutionalized collusion.
Which is a fantastic phrase. It sounds like a college course I would fail. Institutionalized collusion 101. But Tony Clark has a point. A cap just artificially limits what the top guys can earn, pitting players against each other.
And let us talk about that floor, because that is the Trojan horse here. A minimum payroll of $171 million sounds great for the players, theoretically. It forces teams like the Marlins, who are spending $74 million, to suddenly find another $100 million in the couch cushions.
The Marlins ownership might actually spontaneously combust if you force them to spend $170 million.
They would have to start paying the Marlin statue in the outfield, but the catch is, the owners want to penalize teams that don't hit the floor with taxes while supposedly rewarding them with draft picks if they sign big-name free agents. It is this massive, convoluted system just to stop Steve Cohen from buying another bullpen.
And while all these suits are arguing about billions in a boardroom, the actual product on the field is being carried by these incredible young stars. It feels like 2026 is the year of the youth movement. We cannot talk about this season without bowing down to the reigning National League Cy Young winner, Paul Skeens.
Skeens is a cheat code. The man won the Cy Young in 2025 as a sophomore, posted a 1.97 ERA, and he is somehow still striking out the world for the Pirates. He has a strikeout-to-walk rate over 6 right now. He is the reason the Pirates are even in the conversation as a low payroll contender.
It is like the Pirates found a superhero and decided to pay him entry-level wages. And then you have the Brewers, another small-market team leading the NL Central, and they're doing it with Jacob Misiorowski.
Oh my goodness, Misiorowski. He had a 0.23 ERA in the month of May. 0.23. He struck out 57 batters and walked 6 in 6 starts. It is video game numbers. The Brewers just keep churning out these terrifying pitchers, maintaining a tiny payroll and making the big spenders look foolish.
Then there's Elly De La Cruz in Cincinnati, stealing bases like he is double-parked, though he just hit the injured list, which is a tragedy for baseball fans everywhere. Bobby Witt Jr. is basically carrying the Royals franchise on his back, projecting to hit over 300 with nearly 30 homers. These young guys are electric.
They are, but they are also the exact demographic the collective bargaining agreement messes with. The current structure keeps these guys under team control for 6 years, 3 years making the league minimum of $780,000 and then 3 years of arbitration before they can even sniff free agency.
Which means a guy like Skeens, who is objectively one of the most valuable assets in the sport, is making pennies compared to a veteran who is currently batting 190 for the Mets.
That is the crux of the labor dispute. The players want to get paid sooner, the owners want to cap the spending at the top, and the small market owners are using their own success against the players. They are going into these negotiations saying, look, Tampa Bay is winning with $87 million. We don't need to spend more.
It is a brilliant, diabolical argument. Your Honor, I do not need to pay my employees a living wage because look at this one guy who survives entirely on rainwater and moss.
That is a perfect analogy. The Rays are the guys surviving on moss, and they are somehow winning marathons. Meanwhile, the Mets are drinking $300 protein shakes and tripping over their own shoelaces.
And the fans are the ones who are going to suffer if they do not figure this out by December 1st. A lockout seems almost inevitable because the gap between what Tony Clark wants and what Rob Manfred is proposing is the size of the Grand Canyon.
You have Pete Alonso openly saying at the All-Star game that they know a lockout is coming over this salary cap fight. The players are mobilized. They will not accept a hard cap. Historically, baseball has the strongest union in sports precisely because they never gave in to a cap.
So we have the Dodgers projecting a $500 million payroll, the Marlins crying poor at $74 million, the owners demanding a $245 million cap, and a bunch of 23-year-olds like Misiorowski and Skeens striking out everyone in sight for league minimum. It is a powder keg.
A very entertaining powder keg, at least until December. For now, I'm just going to enjoy watching the Guardians and the Rays run circles around the billionaires. There is something deeply satisfying about watching a team with a payroll the size of a Hollywood catering budget dominate teams that spend the GDP of a small island nation on their bullpen.
It is the poetry of baseball, the only sport where money talks, but occasionally an $87 million underdog tells it to shut up.
Let us just hope they figure out the CBA before we lose any games next year, because a season with these young stars is too good to waste on a boardroom strike.
Send this episode to that friend who still thinks their team's massive payroll guarantees a World Series ring.